Sitting loud at the mic, discussing politics, their passion ignites. Conservative values, they stand their ground. In a world of chaos, their truth can be found. Unsanctioned America, they won't back down. Voice is the reason in a liberal town. Oh, John and Tom bringing the heat. In a podcast storm, they won't face defeat. Speaking their minds, it's a freedom fight. Unsanctioned America, they'll light up the night. They break it down, what's fair and what's right, calling out the nonsense, shining a light. With every debate, they sharpen their blade, fighting for freedom, the lights only lay. In a nation divided, they'll rise above with passion and truth and a whole lot of love. Oh, John and Tom bringing the heat. In a podcast storm, they won't face defeat. Speaking their minds, it's a freedom fight. Unsanctioned America, they'll light up the night. So tune in and listen, join the crusade for a brighter tomorrow. The truth will not fade.
About the fact that we're affirming our independent commission, and we're calling for a national independent commission as well.
Could you speak to the ICE action outside the...
Well, I think it's pretty sick and pathetic. And it just said everything you need to know, the setting that we're under. That they chose the time, manner, and place to send their district director outside right when we're about to have this press conference. Said everything you know about Donald Trump's America. And that was top down. You know that for a fact. And they'll deny it, I'm sure. Maybe they won't deny it. It said everything you know about the authoritarian tendencies of the President of the United States. I said in a moment ago, wake up, America. Wake up. You will not have a country if he rigs this election. You will have a president who will be running for a third term. Mark my word. I wasn't exaggerating when I said that I received in the mail a Trump 2028 hat. From
that last video right there, John, it needed no music. It needed no words. It spoke for itself. The ultimate flex by President Trump with that meeting with Putin in Alaska, John.
That's exactly what it was. That is the ultimate flex, reminding Putin that the United States and Russia are not equals at all. We're different weight classes, and that Trump is a different president than Biden, right? That they are also not in the same weight class. That one was a geriatric Special Olympian, and the other one is a fighter, almost in his prime. I would say he would have been in his prime last election cycle, but certainly he is a different class, a whole different class of fighter. And he's got to prepare for it big time, because the pressure is on. The reason that they met so quickly is twofold. On our side, Trump wants to end this war, and on the Russian side, they want to avoid the repercussions of Trump going after Putin, because they know that Trump is smarter than just a sanction here or some silly move. Whatever Trump does is going to hurt. Yeah. And so they want to avoid that. I don't think that Putin really wants to end the war yet. But if he doesn't come out with what appears to be a victory for the Russian people, he's in big trouble. So, but welcome to another episode of Unsanctioned America. Today is August 16th. We have a great show for you. Are we on episode 319? What episode number are we on here? Episode 317, August 16th, 2025. And we have a great show for you. Please like and share the show right now while you have a moment. We're going to talk about this Trump flex and the meeting that Trump had with Putin. We're going to talk about Trump taking over D.C. this past week, promising to make the city safer. Newsom pledges to make California even worse while crying about gerrymandering. I'm not sure how he could make it any worse, but he's going to try. Dems could lose up to 30 seats by removing illegals. Imagine the difference, the razor thin margin that we have in the House, and it's caused by basically counting people that are not allowed to vote and that are not supposed to be here.
A terrible census.
Incredible. And you have to remember when this was a fight before. This was when the Uniparty and Trump were at odds, because he wanted to remove illegals from the census back then. And imagine the difference that it would have made today.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to talk about deep state accountability. Will we ever see accountability in the deep state? Trump telegraphs his urgency to Bondi regarding the Russia hoax. Comer, I'm not a big fan of Comer, but nonetheless, Comer says that the walls are closing in on Shifty Schiff. Dems paid nearly $6 billion with a B dollars to facilitate the illegal invasion over the presidency of Biden. ICE cracks down on Newsom voters. Mamdani not welcome everywhere in New York, although it appears he is going to become the mayor. Google tells Stern that he's an irrelevant whiner. The NFL goes full Bud Light. What a surprise. Talk about bad timing, huh?
Yeah.
My God. Talk about bad timing. Just before the season starts, they bring out the Hooters boys in short pants,
unbelievable,
displaying more sass than any American male should ever.
Just when you think it couldn't get any worse.
When you think it couldn't get any worse, right? Frankenbunnies not on our bingo card, and Independence Day fight planned in D.C. In fact, on White House grounds. We're going to talk about that. So that and so much more on this episode of Unsanctioned Florida.
America.
Let's get right to it. They're going to say a quick prayer to get right to the show. Lord, thank you so much for the ability to bring this show to the people that we love, which is the American people. This is an effort to protect the American family, just like everything that we do, and to ensure that you always have a place here in our country. We know that if we follow your word, that our country will be better for it. And so we pray that all leaders come closer to you, to have a relationship that inspires their leadership and that inspires their decisions and their voting. In your son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. All right, let's get into it. All right, John, let's talk about this big meeting in Alaska between President Trump and Vladimir Putin. And we'll start off with President Trump's comments regarding this meeting.
Well, thank you very much. Mr. President. That was very profound. And I will say that I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on, most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal. I will call up NATO in a little while. I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate, and I'll, of course, call up President Zelensky and tell him about today's meeting. It's ultimately up to them. They're going to have to agree with what Marco and Steve and some of the great people from the Trump administration who've come here, Scott and John Ratcliffe. Thank you very much. But we have some of our really great leaders. They've been doing a phenomenal job. We also have some tremendous Russian business representatives here. And I think, you know, everybody wants to deal with us. We've become the hottest country anywhere in the world in a very short period of time. And we look forward to that. We look forward to dealing. We're going to try and get this over with. We really made some great progress today. I've always had a fantastic relationship with President Putin, with Vladimir. We had many tough meetings, good meetings. We were interfered with by the Russia Hoax. That made it a little bit tougher to deal with, but he understood it. I think he's probably seen things like that during the course of his career. He's seen it all. But we had to put up with the Russia hoax. He knew it was a hoax, and I knew it was a hoax. But what was done was very criminal. But it made it harder for us to deal as a country in terms of the business and all of the things that we'd like to have dealt with. But we'll have a good chance when this is over. So just to put it very quickly, I'm going to start making a few phone calls and tell them what happened. But we had an extremely productive meeting, and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there. We didn't get there, but we have a very good chance of getting there. I would like to thank President Putin and his entire team, whose faces, who I know in many cases, other than that, whose faces I get to see all the time in the newspapers. You're almost as famous as the boss, but especially this one right over here. But we had some good meetings over the years, right? Good, productive meetings over the years, and we hope to have that in the future. But let's do the most productive one right now. We're going to stop really 5, 6, 7,000, thousands of people a week from being killed, and President Putin wants to see that as much as I do. So, again, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you very much, and we'll speak to you very soon and probably see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I could see it possibly happening. Thank you very much, Vladimir. And thank you all. Thank you.
Next time in Moscow, he's going to get a little heat for that. But, you know, there was a very important point that Putin made, John, and let's play that real quick.
I'd like to remind you that in 2022, during the last contact with the previous administration, I tried to convince my previous American colleague that the situation should not be brought to the point of no return when it would come to hostilities. And I said it quite directly back then that it's a big mistake. Today, when President Trump is saying that if he was the president back then, there will be no war. And I'm quite sure that it would indeed be so. I can confirm that. I think that overall, me and President Trump have built a very good, business-like and trustworthy contact. And I have every reason to believe that moving down this path, we can come, and the sooner the better, to the end of the conflict in Ukraine.
There it is, John. He says that he warned President Biden that we did not want to see this escalate to the point of no return. Biden did nothing about it, and Putin even says that if Trump had been president, there wouldn't have been the war.
Well, I think that Trump made it very clear that he would not have been pushing necessarily for the aggressive stance that Ukraine was, there was a lot of fighting over the Ukraine. I think that people don't realize that. And listen, I remember, I mean, that was all in the news when Putin was saying that. It's on the record. It's not like it was hidden. It's not like anybody should not have known that there might have been war coming. It's just that war is something so serious that people doubt it when they say that it's coming, right? You don't believe the threats. And of course, he was just waiting for Biden to be elected, or for Hillary to steal the election in some way, or Obama to steal the election in some way, because he knew that they wouldn't do anything, or that they would do the wrong thing, right? And so, of course, that the Biden, you know, you have this guy who's using an auto pen to run the country. Of course, that's the right time to make war, right? Now is the right time to make peace. And he's come to that realization. It's good to hear him say it, but if you read the news, if you're watching the news on a consistent basis and you're staying in tune with what's going on, then you would know that, you know, this was going to happen, and that what Trump was saying about if it had been him, it would have been true. Listen, Trump, the details of Trump, the jokes that he makes sometimes, a lot of the, you know, the rambling speeches and so on, you have to be able to decipher what Trump is saying, because 90%, it's almost 100% of everything important he's saying is true, right?
Yeah.
And it's 90% of what he says in general. The 10% of fluff that he's speaking is the color of his language, right? Just like I use different language, it's my tone and whatever. And you know, the Trumpism and not I think, but Newsom put out a press release trying to speak in the voice of Trump and making fun of him. Trump knows how he speaks, right? Yeah. We all know how he speaks. That's not even an issue anymore. We don't care. But what we're seeing right now with Trump in the press release, in that conference that he's doing after the fact, we're hearing more honest situational awareness from a president than we've heard throughout the entire time of Biden combined, in one press conference about a serious matter going on in the world. And you know that that's what's going on. He literally tells you, I'm going to pick up the phone. I'm going to start calling people. We're going to start dialoguing about this stuff. Yeah. I mean, with Biden, it would have been nothing isms, right? It would have been just a bunch of BS. It would have been, I don't remember what the, what was it? Black Righty Ann would have been saying, you know, just lies, right?
Yep.
So you know, and it's just a joke. That those 4 years are like 4 years lost. You know, when you're in a really bad relationship and then the relationship ends, you always knew it was going to end, but was like, why the hell would I waste 4 years of my life in that horrendous situation? Yeah, that was the Biden administration for us. Wow. And thank God it's over, because now we see there's a clear direction to our Secretary of State's policies and their posturing and so on. And you can trust. Now you can go back to work and make money, you know, because now there's a leader at the helm. And so I'm very appreciative. And what a beautiful flex still. I think about the Freedom Dorito flying across the sky like that, you know, making sure that, again, reminding Putin that we're having these talks, we're treating you well, but we're not the same. Yeah. And the way, and we could determine the outcome of this war single-handedly. Yeah. So it's something that he should keep in mind.
Absolutely. You know, this is, like we said, the ultimate flex, and this is true American leadership at play. We see it right there. And, you know, it's great to see. It's great to see, John. Yeah. Great to see again. We're also seeing that in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., where President Trump has invoked the Home Rule Act to try and get the crime in D.C. under control.
And worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before.
Yep, and you know, it's about time, John. DC is a crime-ridden nightmare. It's another example of liberal policies at play.
I mean, it's the very worst. It's one of the worst of the worst. It's why is every city controlled by Democrats just a beacon of terror, right? It's like you can't be in peace in those cities. You have to be either ultra rich and take advantage of like $30 million apartments, or you're below the poverty line, struggling to stay above water, struggling to stay alive even. And they can say whatever they want about, oh, well, this was unnecessary and this is just Trump being an authoritarian or whatever. But we know the truth. Even reporters and politicians were texting like we saw the schmo in the morning read a text that he received. And he was saying the morning schmo on the morning schmo. He read a text that he received saying that they're relieved that he's doing it, because the fact is it's a very violent place, dangerous place.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't understand what you would expect. It has to be, this is a great thing. Number one, DC should be federalized. It shouldn't be a city. It shouldn't be a state that is under the operation of a party. You know,
yeah.
Our capital should not be subject to politics. Our capital is for the American people to enjoy. It shouldn't be a ghetto or a slum. It's just, that's dishonoring to our 250 years.
Yeah.
So it's just he needs to take it over. They need to keep it. They need to keep power. They need to federalize DC. It needs to be a federal jurisdiction, and just get that mayor out of there. They don't need a mayor. The mayor's the Speaker of the House.
You know, we saw that the police chief didn't understand what the chain of command was.
Yeah,
when she was asked, she asked what that was. The bottom line, we heard about big balls of the Doge team getting beat almost to death in Washington, D.C. and numerous other crimes, even fake news media reporters talking about how they've been the subject of crime in Washington, D.C. The bottom line is Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, should be the cleanest, nicest city that you could visit. All
in
those museums,
in the country, absolutely.
All that history there. It should be like Main Street. That would not be this place that you have to fear for your life and look over your shoulder everywhere you go. And thank
100%.
God that President Trump is doing what he's doing to clean up Washington, D.C. And then maybe, just maybe, I'll think about going there. But right now, as it was, and I would never think of going there. Why would I go there? Why? I mean,
well, remember they used to plan trips for the 8th graders to go there, right? Like, you used to go there middle school to look at our country and be in awe of our nation's capital. And now you can't even take them because you'll lose half of the kids. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's craziness. And you know, the fact is, I love DC. I love every year, you know, but it's getting harder and harder. I mean, you can only go out during the day. You have to stick around in certain areas. I mean, it's heartbreaking that our nation's capital has been taken over by, you know, Democrat thugs. And I say that because it's not the people that are there, but it's the leaders. It's just another DC. It's just another political ploy. For them, it's a pawn, right? To use power and to resist the, you know, conservative presidency or whatever. There's nothing real to it. It's not being run like a city you would imagine. Listen, DC should be the most well-run city. On top of the things that you said, it looking like Main Street and Disney and so on, it should also be a perfect example of how to run a city, right? It should be the best run city in the entire country. Cities should strive to be like DC. Instead, you strive to get out of it. And that's a crime. And that mayor should be, you should never tolerate a bad quarter from a mayor in DC. You know, it should be a professional who is proficient in running a city. It should not be a mayor who's elected by politics, you know, a DEI pick is what she is, and her entire cabinet. You know, a bunch of DEI picks. It should be a crime.
You know, next should be Chicago, New York City, you know, all these other liberal run cities, because they have coddled crime for too long. They've played with these criminals with kid gloves, and it's time to take those gloves off and let's get these places straightened out, you know.
I mean, that city is run by it's like Somali warlords who are 13-year-old.
Yeah, I could have sworn that President Trump had read off the murder rate and said it was higher than like Bogota, Colombia, and a couple of other places.
Bogota, I think, was second, but higher than Chicago. You know,
crazy.
I mean, it's you know, we know like Chicago is the murder capital of the U.S., but I think it was 100 per 100,000. It was the highest in the, you know, it was extremely high.
Wow. We know President Trump's going to get it done. He cleaned up the border in record time, and I'm sure he's going to clean up D.C. in record time as well. Now, John, on the last show, we talked about redistricting and how that could be happening here in Florida. It probably will happen. You said it was a national thing and it's happening elsewhere, and absolutely, you're right. In Texas, they're doing that, and that's a big deal going on. We had a bunch of Democrats try and complain about that and have a temper tantrum. Well, one of our favorite Democrats is having his own temper tantrum. That's Gavin Newsom. He is saying that he will officially gerrymander California, and this is what he's saying. He's saying that the Republicans can't hold the House in President Trump's final 2 terms after what he's planning to do. And he said that the Republicans missed the deadline to stand down. So now he's saying that he's going to do that. One person who summed up what Gavin Newsom is trying to do here is Scott Jennings. He did this on CNN.
Let me summarize Gavin Newsom's speech today. Gerrymandering is evil. Please vote for my gerrymandering. Of course, he failed to mention that it's already gerrymandered. Republicans get 40% of the vote in California. They have 17% of the congressional seats under a supposed independent redistricting commission. So we're going to further gerrymander the gerrymandering that caused Texas to act in the first place.
Yeah, and there it is. You know, he's doing this in response to talk of removing illegal aliens off the census and creating new redistricting lines based off of a proper census, right?
I mean, listen, California is a joke of the worst kind, right? Like, I mean, like I said, Gavin Newsom can promise to make it worse, but I don't know how it could get any worse. Even if you had 5 new moronic Democrat congressmen, right, who have no testicles, don't know what gender they are, you know, are you know, just all kinds of California-ness about them. They're still not going to change the outcome because they have already gerrymandered the state of California, right? They receive 40%. Listen, you got to understand this, and this number has been thrown out everywhere recently, that Republicans receive 40% of the vote in California, and they only have a handful of congressional seats. After this gerrymandering, they're only going to have 4 congressional seats. Now, California has millions of people in it, tens of millions of people, but there's only 4 Republican congressional seats, even though nearly half of them vote Republican. That is already gerrymandered. It's already done. They've already taken too many bites at the apple. There's nothing left but the core. Okay, so they're going to reduce it by 4 more votes or 5 more seats, right? They're going to remove 5 more seats. They're going to go from 9 to 4. Texas has a lot more than that. You can get 10 seats out of Texas. You can get 10 seats out of Florida. You can get, listen, Illinois, you can't get any more seats, right? You can't gerrymander any more seats out of Illinois. You can't gerrymander more seats out of New York. They're going to be hard pressed to try to keep up with the Republican gerrymandering if everybody starts having that arms race. And the difference between the Republicans doing it and the Democrats doing it is really none, except for the fact that the Democrats have done 2 things which make it fair, in my opinion. Number one, they, as we mentioned earlier, they allowed the census to count illegal aliens. All right. That gave them 30 more seats than they really should have. Number 2, they've already been gerrymandering all along. Have been planned. They've stolen elections however they could. Election law has never prevented them from trying to steal an election. They have not tried to follow the rules whatsoever. So making the state advantageous, just like the Democrats have. And here's the most important thing, in my opinion, being a true reflection of the electorate. right? That's the most important thing. It's a true reflection of the electorate. Nobody wants their kids' genitals mutilated anymore. That's not even a conversation that we're having in our country anymore. Why? Because the Democrats lost the battle on that. We were going back to normalcy, and that means Democrats lose seats. Now they're not protected by, U.S. aid.
Yeah, USAID is no longer in play. They don't have that money to prop them up.
And billions and billions propping them up, propping up the shows on mainstream media, propping up their election campaigns, propping up the NGOs that help them win, propping up all of their initiatives. All of that stuff is gone. All that money is gone. So now wherever else they have hands, they're still surviving because they still have hands in the treasury and other places. Yeah. But USAID is dead, and that means 50 Democrat seats could be dead as well.
And you're right, John. You just mentioned it. Democrats did get 20 to 30 House seats from illegal aliens being counted in the census. And here's Stephen Miller to back that up.
Chicago, New York, Massachusetts. Democrats have gerrymandered the vote beyond recognition to try to maintain their advantage in the House elections. On top of that, let's not forget, Democrats rigged the 2020 census by including illegal aliens. Remember, they sued Donald Trump. They sued the administration. They fought tooth and nail to include illegal aliens in the census. 20 to 30 of House Democrat seats wouldn't exist but for illegal aliens. Texas is taking just a small corrective step against this ocean of fraud, this ocean of abuse by the corrupt Democrat Party, Sean.
Yeah. There it is. There it is.
Yeah, this was clear from the very beginning. This is essentially cheating. It's not even a sophisticated way of cheating. These guys stole elections by allowing. I mean, who does that? Who writes their system of government based on the illegal aliens that are there? Who does that? I mean, nobody ever. That's not in our Constitution to count illegal aliens. And, I mean, here's the thing. At first, I remember maybe, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I was like a vehement protector of the, birthright citizenship. And I'm not anymore. Why? Because politicians can't be illegal. They just make their own citizens then. And that's not what it's supposed to be. Citizenship is supposed to protect the citizen. It's supposed to protect our country. It's not supposed to protect your politics. It's not supposed to protect your power. And that's all the Democrats have done. They've taken everything that's pure and good about our country, about our Constitution, and they've ruined it. They've cheated with it. They've made it worse. They've abused the people with it. And what do they get out of it? Consolidation of their power, their grip on power. That's it. They've traded every American dream. They've traded all the American spirit. They've traded all patriotism. They've traded all of our allegiance to the flag. They've traded everything to consolidate their grip on power. Not just the Democrats, also the Republicans, right? But they basically traded all of our national pride for power, and they'll never be forgiven. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I've been frustrated with Trump because people have not become accountable fast enough. It's not happening fast enough. These 30 seats need to be revoked, and that gets revoked by taking them out of the census, redistricting our country based on that real number of American families. That's what needs to be counted. The American family. Yeah. That's the most important thing in this country, and that's what needs to be protected.
Yeah, it's just like you said, John. They consolidated power through this census, counting non-citizens. Did it to secure votes to keep themselves in power, like letting non-citizens vote. This is why they can't be trusted. This is why you can't have
can't trust them at all.
Yeah, you can't. All right, John. So there's a lot of questions from people, and you even said it right there. You said you weren't seeing people held accountable fast enough. And there's a lot of questions on whether people are going to be held accountable, if there's going to be indictments over Obamagate and the Russia hoax and these other things. Well, independent journalist Matt Taibbi, famous for the Twitter files, he believes absolutely there's going to be significant indictment.
The last thing he says in this clip is super important. Pay attention. At the very end, he says something that is absolutely key. Tells you the dynamic that's at play here.
I think there are going to be indictments. I was very skeptical on that question even a couple of weeks ago, but I have heard repeatedly from these folks that they understand that this is not a hearts and minds contest, and that they are not doing this for show, and that if they don't end up in a courtroom, that this will be a massive political failure for them. So I do think that there will be significant indictments. I just don't know what for. I mean, I think that's a very important question to ask right now. We know a grand jury has been convened, but they haven't really given us a strong indication about what crimes they might be investigating.
It has to be that. I mean, that's what we've seen with all of these things. I mean, even the Durham thing that just came up, you know, the cases that he made, right? The guy pleaded guilty to fuck him with an email. And then the other two guys, it was you lied to us, and they lost both cases. So, you know, that's what it always comes down to.
So that's a good point. But what I've heard from these folks is that they understand how the optics of that and what that looks like to voters. And they are going to try for, I think, something, even if it comes up short.
Well, there you go. I mean, says it right there.
Yeah, and the basis of this is that the Republicans will never survive if accountability doesn't come. Yeah. If the Republicans don't make this happen, they know that their voters will abandon them. Right? There will be no more, because listen, the reality is nobody gives a damn about the Republican Party except for Republicans. Right? And I don't mean Republican voters. I mean the Republicans in the power. Right, the Republican lobbyists, the right-leaning fundraisers, the Republican electeds. Those are the only people that really care about the party. When you have people, in example, like in Florida, when you have leadership like Evan Power, yeah, I mean, you can't help but laugh at it. It's an organization that is cancering itself. Right? It's like eating poison, a snake that eats its own tail. And so you have Trump. Trump is like the only Trump and his cabinet, right? You have people that are like being redeemed. They're being washed through the process of being part of Trump's government. You know, like Rubio, right? Rubio has become a whole different figure from where he was in the Senate. I've always liked Rubio, but certainly I wouldn't have suspected that he was a lone ranger against the establishment, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at the very least, he was on the edges of the establishment. Now he looks like he's all America. He's all in for the future. He's like all in on Trump. He's all in on fighting the establishment, so to speak. And he's developing policy that's good for our country, not good for lobbyists and special interests, which is what every department in the United States government was doing. Everybody was serving special interests. Facebook was deciding what our foreign policy was, if you can believe it, right? Yeah. IPAC was deciding what our foreign policy was. And he's not doing that anymore. J.D. Vance. Look at what the difference between a vice president and a vice president. My God, Kamala Harris and J.D. Vance. Can there be any more opposite effects of a vice president? We have one vice president who gets sent across the world to negotiate peace, and we have another one who can't even string a couple of words together in a sentence. I mean, literally, that's the drastic differences between these two vice presidents. Now, look, so they're great. We love Vance. We love Rubio. We love Gabbard. We love all these people who are fighting against the deep state. If accountability doesn't come, all that is gone. No. All that is gone. We won't have the trust. Nobody's going to care what a good Secretary of State Rubio is. I mean, you are going to care. There are people that are going to care, but it's going to be, now you're looking at the 40% of people who are still looking at the government as if it's infallible. And then you're going to have the majority of America who hates them, either because of partisanship or because they just let down the entire world by not making sure that the United States is a clean, moral leader in the world. And so that would be the shame in this. They absolutely have to bring accountability. There has to be people that are prosecuted. There has to be people that go to jail. There has to be people that pay against their crimes, for their crimes against the United States and the American people.
Absolutely, John. And, you know, they don't have much time. They don't have much time. They don't have much time.
You can't wait until midterms. I figured, like we've said on the show, it's going to be right up until midterms when the craziness starts, right? Because now that's why they did the Russia hoax. The Russia hoax was to destroy the elections for Trump, right? Well, now it's not a hoax. Now it's accountability for the deep state is going to get crazy, and it's going to be smashing the Democrats just before an election. At the end of the year, the new year comes, and then the accountability, I think, is going to follow. But it's very hard to keep people waiting for that long because we don't have any confidence in the government anymore, especially the FBI and the DOJ. I mean, Bondi's a joke. Now she has no fans except for deep state actors, except for people who are sycophants. Nobody has much appreciation for Bondi. Even Kash Patel and Bongino have lost their luster, right? Yeah. Even those guys are no longer stars. Now it's like people roll their eyes. Okay, they're just like everybody else. You have Bongino saying, all these things like these cryptic messages and whatever, and people saying, give him a chance. He's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Listen, either poop or get off the pot.
Yeah, put up or shut up.
That's for the American people. Yeah.
Put up or shut up. But I think that something is going to happen, John. I have faith. I still see the glass half full. And, President Trump even is letting Pam Bondi know he wants to see something happen to these people.
We had I had to go through the Russia hoax. And it was actually, it was a strain on the relationship. I actually told them, I said, they got this phony investigation going on, Russia, totally phony, created by Adam Schiff, Shifty Schiff, and Hillary Clinton and the whole group of them. And it made it very dangerous for our country because I was unable to really deal with Russia the way we should have been. I'm looking at Pam because I hope something's going to be done about it. These people put our country at great danger. And Adam Schiff, it was all made up. It was a hoax. The Mueller report came out. They all hated me. They had 18 Trump haters. And they said I did nothing wrong. They couldn't believe, they couldn't find anything. After years of investigation, it was all a hoax. It was a hoax created by the Democrats, but in particular Schiff and Crooked Hillary, the whole group. And now we've learned all the stuff that's come out over the last 2 months is incredible through intelligence. And hopefully something's going to happen with it. These are people that put our country in real danger.
Millions of dollars, John, millions of dollars wasted on these fake, phony investigations, this BS that they pulled against President Trump. And if you don't hold them accountable, John, if you don't do it now, you don't hold them accountable, they will do it again. They will do it again to the next guy.
The millions of dollars wasted in and of itself is bad enough, right? But really, that's not the part that really just wrenches with me. The part that really just kills me is the part where there are people who think that they are so entitled to power that they're willing to manipulate the resources of the entire United States government to get what they want. That's what we have here in Osceola County, right? That's what we have in counties across the state of Florida. You have people that feel so entitled. They feel like they're that aristocrat in the UK. They feel like they're dukes and duchesses and countesses of Osceola County and the United States, that they can literally, they have the gall to use the resources to weaponize it against someone else. That's what they need to pay for. That's what people need to pay for. Anybody who tried to manipulate the government to weaponize it for a result against the American people, whether it was a result that they wanted or not. Listen, I wanted Trump to win the election, right? I wanted Trump to win 3 elections. I never wanted him to win by cheating. I would have rather him lose than him cheat to win. That's me. I know not everybody's like that. Me, I'd rather my team lose than win by cheating. That's not what I want. That's not what I want for our country. That's not what we want. We cannot accept that the Uniparty was cheating by weaponizing the government, by using it as if it was their own resources. Now, if you're Hillary Clinton and you use your own personal resources, I don't care. That's, hey, all is fair in love and war. Okay? If you use your own, no problem. But if you use the government resource, that's the American family's property that you're using to get what you want, That should be a crime that is absolutely punished. And I hope that something happens. Anybody who used our government like Schiff and Clinton to change the course of history absolutely needs to go to jail.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more, John. And oh wait, he was mentioned, John.
Don't trust him. He's got shifty eyes.
It's because he got shifty eyes.
He looks a little shifty, don't you think?
He seems real shifty. Shifty Schiff, and this is Adam Shifty Schiff.
Yeah, and he was mentioned, John. So yes, Adam Shifty Schiff. James Comer, he went on, I guess it was Fox News. He says that the DOJ has ample evidence to hold Adam Shifty Schiff accountable.
When you talk about Adam Schiff, not only is this coming to light that he leaked classified data, that he colluded with the media to try to create a false narrative to hurt our President of the United States, to hurt our foreign policy, to influence the elections. But he's also involved in a mortgage scam. So I think that the walls are closing in on Adam Schiff, and I think the Department of Justice has ample evidence now to move forward and hold Adam Schiff accountable for the many crimes that he's committed.
Oh, please. I think of nothing better than to see Adam Schiff go down, especially with all these new accusations that have come to light about mortgage fraud and things like that. I mean, just unbelievable.
I mean, they have to go to jail. There cannot be two justice systems, one for the American family and one for Adam Schiff, right? We're tired. That's one of the reasons that Trump won, is because people saw that there was a difference, that if you didn't do what you were told, then you could not live your life in peace, right? You had to be a victim. You had to be a pauper, a peasant. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants the United States to act as if it's a fiefdom.
Yeah, no doubt. So let's see Adam Schiff go down. Absolutely, John. Before we go to stories across America or stories from America, we have this important message from the White House.
The campaign, I made a sacred pledge to our seniors that I would always protect Social Security, and under this administration, we're keeping that promise and strengthening Social Security for generations to come. I signed one big, beautiful bill and allowed no tax on Social Security for our great seniors.
Social Security will be great again. You have my commitment.
This is a proclamation both commemorating the 90th anniversary of the Social Security Act, and it also obviously mentions the fact that as part of the One Big Beautiful Bill, a vast majority of our senior citizens are no longer paying taxes on their Social Security benefits, as you promised in your campaign and as you delivered for the American people.
John. So first up, this is incredible, and you kind of alluded to this earlier in the show. If it wasn't for these nonprofit groups, the Democrats really wouldn't have been able to do a lot of the things that they have been doing, including the invasion of our country, John. They gave $6 billion to over 200 NGOs, which is really incredible.
Members of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to testify about the role of NGOs, or non-governmental organizations, in facilitating mass illegal immigration. I currently serve as the executive director of the Oversight Project, and previously was at DHS and on Capitol Hill conducting oversight of immigration matters. The United States of America is still reeling from the worst border invasion in its history. This was an invasion that was planned, promoted, encouraged, funded, and sustained by radical elements of the previous administration. But this invasion could not have been accomplished without a colossal partnership with the NGO community. Simply put, the government just did not have the capacity to get this many people in and around the country without the support of the nonprofits. And to that end, They gave them almost $6 billion to a conglomerate of UN agencies and over 200 NGOs to do just that, according to statistics from the Center for Immigration Studies. The result was that Border Patrol became a daycare. They became Uber drivers just to shuttle illegals to the nonprofits to get them around the country. Now, the Oversight Project has led the way in exposing what I call this border industrial complex. In December of 2022, we did the first of its kind study where we tracked illegal aliens by their cell phones as they went through these nonprofits at the border. In just a 1 month period, in tracking 30,000 devices, so a very small subset of the 10 million that Biden had crossed the border, we found out that the illegals went to nearly every single congressional district in the United States. We proved that every town was indeed a border town.
Wow. You know, and that's incredible, John. You're hearing about this here at this hearing where they're talking about the invasion of the country and non-citizens, illegal aliens coming into the country and how they were facilitated to by these NGOs. But we also know about USAID and how they were propping up these Democrat protests, Democrat nonprofits, how they were funding shows like The Late Show with Stephen Colbert and other entertainment outlets to influence our culture. Thank God that President Trump got into office and is putting a stop to all this.
You know, it wasn't even working, right? It wasn't even working. Trump didn't win. Like, it wasn't some miracle that Trump won. Trump was riding the wave of the American sentiment to the White House, right? Nobody believed what Colbert was saying anymore. Nobody watched his show. Nobody believes what Jimmy Kimmel. Nobody cares about Jimmy Kimmel anymore. Nobody cares about Howard Stern anymore. And what was it that killed Howard Stern? Right? Trump was saying that it was the moment that he endorsed Hillary Clinton. I don't think that was the exact moment. It wasn't about him endorsing Hillary Clinton. You know what it was? It was him exposing himself as an idiot, right? As this, oh, I'm in on it too. That's what killed him. I'm also in on it. I'm also one of these crazy people. I'm also one of these people that think that, you know, the world should revolve around me. I'm also against the American family. I'm also against God. I'm also against everything that's important. The American dream, the apple pie that we've been cherishing for 250 years, he's also one of the people that was happy to sacrifice it so that he could make a buck. And that's what all these NGOs did. They sold their souls. Not a single one of these NGOs will ever be able to stand up and be like, we're doing good for America. Now we know they could care less about doing good for America or the American family, and they care more about their own survival and expanding their revenues. That's what they care about. They're nothing more than a Monsanto or any of these companies that have, you know, that are case studies and doing terrible things, because this is their terrible thing. In 20 years, people will be studying this in college, how the NGOs betrayed their nation, betrayed the people, betrayed the mission that they were supposed to serve, and did that all for money so they can survive and build revenue. That's it. And that is a damn shame that they cannot be trusted. That is a damn shame. It is so grotesque. And listen, who are the Lutheran Church, the Catholic charities? Those are two of them too. These are institutions that we're supposed to depend on for the moral high ground. And what are they doing? They're using their faith to manipulate people into thinking that bringing somebody here, having them sex trafficked and human trafficked across our border, being put into slave situations in the United States, modern slavery. These NGOs were literally bringing back modern day slavery by having a whole bunch of people come, not have homes to go to. And they're either working for less than they deserve, they're working for less than an American. So on top of being slaves, they're destroying the American economy at the same time. This could not have been a worse disaster. Only somebody, I mean, you know, this could only happen under Joe Biden's leadership.
Yeah.
And it can only happen under Joe Biden's leadership because of what Obama said. Don't underestimate Biden's ability to F things up. That's what Obama said, right? And if Obama said that, it's 100% true about Biden. It's the one thing that he said that's true in his life, probably. But It didn't start under Biden. It was architected under Obama in 2008, but it died under Biden because Biden effed it up, right?
Yeah.
He couldn't keep his sanity together. Everybody saw that he was, was like the worst case 26 Trump TDS and Alzheimer's combined at the end of his thing. And that's why it all fell apart, because he couldn't keep it together. We had no president. The American people knew it.
Yeah.
And I hope these NGOs, everybody who was involved, they should be fined. They should have to pay that money back to the American people.
Yeah, absolutely. And they shouldn't be able to register as nonprofits anymore, I believe.
I agree. They should have their tax status taken away from them.
Yeah.
If you were involved in any of human trafficking, sex trafficking, as a result, even as a byproduct, if you were involved in taking money and you were involved in this scheme to flood the United States with illegals so that Democrats could win their election, that is far worse than talking politics from the pulpit, and they should absolutely lose their tax status.
Yeah, they're frauds. I mean,
well, that's the beginning of what they are. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, John. So let's take it over to the opening video that we played, the first one, the very first one. We saw Newsom, and he was talking about how they were outside of his event. Well, what was he talking about? He was talking about ICE. They were doing a raid outside of Gavin Newsom's presser.
Border Patrol agents are making arrests, illegal immigrants. That I don't know if they were at this press conference, if they were in the area, but this is a very, as John put it, when we first saw this video,
another flex. What a great flex,
way to let Democrats know that you are going to do your job, that you're going to carry out these Trump policies. Can you just respond to this video that we're watching right now?
Yeah, every single one of our ICE and Border Patrol operations is built on information, on investigative work. It's a case and an operation that has been planned because of who they think could be in that area. And
well, they were pretty sure that there were going to be illegal aliens at Gavin Newsom's presser, and they were correct. They did make a few arrests, John.
Yeah, I think that's hilarious. I think that's great, because here's the thing, they have, and he was outraged by it.
Yes,
right?
He absolutely was.
He was outraged by it. And it just shows that if you're going to have a room of fans for Newsom, they're going to be fans who don't have American passports. So, I mean, it is what it is. Newsom is an absolute moron. I think that people of California know that. And as soon as illegal aliens aren't allowed to vote there and aren't counted in the census, California is going to be far, far, far less influential on nationwide politics than the increase that Florida and Texas are going to receive.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I mean, 30 seats ruins the Democrat. The Democrat Party dies.
Yeah.
Listen. This is, everybody needs to know this. In 10 years, I don't think that the Democrat Party is going to exist. The pendulum will have to swing so far, because the pendulum hasn't swung so far to the right that it's destroyed Democrats. That's not what's happened. What's happened is that the American pendulum, okay, they have stopped it. They've turned the clock over. Now everybody's waiting. What's going to happen? What rats are going to come running out of that clock? That's what they're waiting for. That's what's going on, and people need to understand that. And that's why you need to hold it. Don't give up the fight. Keep fighting, because it's not just about Trump. Trump has 2 years, 2.5 years. Okay. God, I hope that Trump gets everything that he wants out of these next 2.5 years. I especially hope that the Republicans don't lose power. Would it help? Let me pose this question, because it does not help in Florida. Would it help if the Republicans gained another 40 seats? Who are those Republicans that are going to be in the House? Are they going to be people like, let's say, in my opinion, like, let's say Paula Luna, right? Is it going to be like Luna that are people coming into the House? Or are they going to be like I don't know, Trey Gowdy, right? So you pick. These are places, the seats that they pick up, they might be gerrymandered, but they might be people closer in the middle. Do you want a Republican like what's the name, Katzen? What's the guy's name, that wimp from New York that was supposedly a Republican? Do you want these guys in the House? I don't think that you do.
I think you're going to get a mix, though. That's what you're going to get a mix of this. You know,
But
you're going to get some good, you're going to get some bad.
Rhinos, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's already full of these rhinos. So what
you don't
do you
really know until
more?
they're in office and they prove themselves to be a rhino. And
well, I mean, they what they really prove is to be liars. I mean, that's what so many of them have proven to be.
But there are always signs, John. There's always signs that you can find and look for when these candidates are running. You can always look at their campaign reports and look at who's donating to them. You can see who they're beholden to. You know,
exactly. And listen, I mean, that's exactly, you're gonna have to check. You're gonna have to research these people. If we're gonna win 40 more seats in the House, then we need to make sure that these are legitimate conservatives. And for me, I'm gonna tell you, I wouldn't vote there. I would vote for the America First Party because at least you know that those are actual conservatives. I wouldn't vote for I would vote for a Republican over a Democrat, but not necessarily all the time, right? Because you'd rather have the enemy that you can beat than the enemy that you will never dislodge. And that's what we don't need. We do not need any more career politicians in DC. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for people who are coming to serve. They work for their families. They go serve for a period of time, which is limited. Then they go back home and they continue to live their lives. Not for people who live in DC for 150 years, like the vampire. What's her name from California?
Nancy Pelosi. And this is the thing, John. We can't have this become a rest home, which is what it's become. I mean, for the most part, you know, the senior officials up there, they are all in their 80s. They're very old. It's just very sad to see them continue on. Who are these people that are voting for them and continue to vote for them? That's what I want to know. I want to see these people. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway,
if they exist, they exist.
That's the key right there. If they exist. All right, John, going over to New York City, the Democrat socialist that's running, or the Islamic Democrat socialist that's running for New York City mayor and is likely to win, Zoran Mamdani. Well, he got accosted at a restaurant in Staten Island.
Sorry, I want something to eat. I don't like something to eat. Let me tell you something, man. You are not welcome in this island. October 7th, Jew hater. You fucking Jew hater piece of shit. Hey, Mr. Mamdani, can I talk to you? This is my island. You're not welcome here. Fuck. Excuse me. You hate Jews. You hate this country. You hate this big shot full of Tom Holman. Don't throw home.
Now that guy looked like Scott Lobato, if you know who that is. I'm not sure if it was him. I think it was him. But unfortunately, it looks like this is going to be the next mayor of New York City. This is the guy who tried to confront Tom Homan and act like a big tough guy in front of Tom Homan. This is a guy that the Democrat Party is trying to manufacture into a Democrat Party star. Just unbelievable, John, that this guy could possibly and looks likely to be the next mayor of New York City.
Yeah, let's hope. Let's hope that we're all shocked by the result. That would be the best thing, is that we're just completely shocked that we don't know what happens. And that it's going to be somebody else, you know, I don't know. I hope that what's his name, Sliwa wins, you know, that would be the shock that we're talking about, just because people would not vote. Who's going to vote for a guy that killed a whole bunch of grandparents, right?
Yeah.
The former governor of New York.
Yeah.
Who's going to vote for that guy? Who's going to vote for Alfredo's older brother? Right. I find that hard to believe that somebody would vote for Cuomo. I think that he's a non-starter.
No.
Eric Adams. I don't know. The Democrats are being told do not vote for Eric Adams, right?
Yeah.
They're being told don't vote for Eric Adams. So Democrats are, you know, you have to have an IQ level that is 2 digits or less in order to be a Democrat. So maybe they follow those instructions and they don't vote for Eric Adams. But certainly Eric Adams at least sacrificed his political career for the truth of immigration. right? Like he was saying that we can't, if we're not going to get federal funding, if it's not going to be like just a raining down money on our city for these illegal aliens, how are we supposed to survive? And you know why they did it? People, I was having a conversation about this the other day, and somebody didn't realize why Eric Adams. They thought that Eric Adams was a great guy, that he's becoming conservative. No, that's not the case. Eric Adams is not conservative at all. At all. There's not a conservative bone in Eric Adams' body. The reason that he did it was because he already dominated the already 3 Democrats for every Republican in New York City. He did not need the illegal immigration to make this happen, right? But because he's a big city, the Democrat establishment said, go to New York because they can hide him. We need the congressional seats. Eric Adams didn't care about congressional seat with everybody in his cities getting mugged, right? By a whole bunch of Tren de Aragua guys. And that's why he couldn't, that's why he came out and was immigration, because his city could not handle it. They were not going to get the federal funds to deal with it. So they wanted him to sacrifice the city of New York, and he wasn't willing to do that. So that's one good act. It's not because he's conservative at all. And if you're a Republican, I don't think that you can vote for any of those Democrats. Go vote for the Republican. At least give him the highest number that you possibly can. And if you can't live with Mamdani, then you got to get out of there. That's the bottom line. I mean, that city is a cesspool.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that they allow it to become that way, but that's what happens. You get TDS, you have an entire island. They're like a zombie island with TDS. You just gotta, I don't know what you gotta wall it off. Like the other zombie movies.
The New York City voters have gone full retard, John, and this is what it is. You got Sliwa. Unfortunately, he won't lose the beret. And I understand, he started the Guardian Angels. He's very attached to that, but no one is going to take you seriously wearing that beret all the time. He's trailing in dead last. I mean, the polling is dismal for him. Eric Adams and Cuomo are way, way, way behind Mamdani, and that's why I said that the New York City voters have gone full retard, because they're not even looking at the moderate Democrats. They're looking at the complete socialist Democrat. This is who they want, and it just blows my mind, John. If you haven't left California or New York City at this point, I don't know. You deserve to be there. You deserve to be there, and just stay there. Just stay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So Howard Stern gets canceled, John, and you mentioned this a little bit earlier. Howard Stern. Sirius XM not willing to renew his contract. He was making a boatload of money, but Sirius XM no longer considers it worth the money, this show. And here's Jesse Waters explaining a little bit about the history of what's going on here.
Something very strange is going on with Howard Stern. He was supposed to be beachside all summer long and back on Sirius after Labor Day. But then this report came out. Stern's 20-year run at Sirius is on the chopping block. His $500 million contract's expiring. And insiders say there's no chance they keep cutting those checks. Another source says Stern's liberal rants aren't helping either. At first, this seems kind of like summer gossip. We didn't pay any attention to it. Then Stern's 95-person staff got called into New York yesterday. And out of nowhere, Stern ditches vacation and drops a surprise episode.
Actually, we will be back, though, very soon. What's the date? September something.
Day after Labor Day.
Day after Labor Day. We will be back on the air live. Yeah. I've been refueling, so to speak. We're back live on Tuesday, September 2nd.
Who cuts their vacay short to host a random summer special if everything's fine? I would never. There would have to be major breaking news for me to come back from vacation. Assignment. Daily Mail says Stern found out about the possible Sirius shakeup from a Google alert on his phone. Then he called Kimmel for advice. We don't know what Kimmel told him, but we know what Trump said.
Howard Stern, it's a name I haven't heard. I used to do a show, we used to have fun. but I haven't heard that name in a long time. What happened? He got terminated?
Yeah, they're going to separate ways because I think what they're offering salary-wise is real low than what he's getting.
You know when he went down?
Whenever you want.
You know when he went down? No, before. When he endorsed Hillary Clinton, he lost his audience. People said, give me a break. He went down when he endorsed Hillary Clinton.
And you talked about that, John. You talked about that clip where President Trump says that. But, you know, who can forget the completely horrible interview he did with Joe Biden, where Joe Biden was sitting there basically like a corpse, uttering a word every once in a while Howard Stern completely kissed Joe Biden's ass to the point that his face was literally up in his butthole. It was just the most. You have to go back and you can watch that on YouTube. It's just incredible what Howard Stern did and the change in Howard Stern from the Howard Stern that we remember from the late 80s, early 90s, right? With the movie and how he blew up. And we talked about this in pre-show prep. The complete difference in the guy that we knew then to the guy he is now. And I talked about Don Imus was a guy in New York City. He was a radio host, and this was Howard Stern's enemy. This was the guy that, he hated him. This is the guy that held Howard Stern down when Howard Stern was starting out in radio. And Don Imus was the antithesis of Howard Stern. Howard Stern was the crass, crazy shock jock, and Don Imus was the ultra liberal, straight guy. Howard Stern has become Don Imus now. Now Howard Stern is Don Imus, and his show is irrelevant. It's not funny. I don't think anybody really listens or pays attention to him anymore. I don't know.
Nobody listens anymore. Nobody listens anymore. It's a waste of time. Listen, you were right. He used to be shocked. Now he's not. Now he's shockingly bad. All right. He's a shocking wimp is what he turned out to be. Now everybody knows he's just this little wimp. And everybody, listen, American males is who used to listen to this. And you made a couple of good points. Not only the fact that he became Amos, right? Imus.
Yeah.
But which is true. I thought it was crazy. Nobody's going to remember it. It's going to be all Gen X people who remember that, right? But
yeah.
the beef between him and Don Imus was crazy. And now he becomes Imus. It's nuts. But we also talked about in the pre-show is, remember this guy, how did everybody gets canceled except for this guy? This guy was the most misogynistic piece of crap. He used to bring in people to humiliate them. He was a dirtbag. That's what was so shocking about it. It was shocking that somebody could be such a dirtbag. And now this guy's complaining about Trump. This guy's a dirtbag. This guy's the biggest dirtbag. Go back to his early years. He used to be funny, and it was shocking because he would ask questions about things that nobody else would talk about, their sex lives and whatever, and these details and whatever. And people liked him all the time. But he became so bad. It's just like so boring. You can't talk about being a shock jock and then be like, oh, I like kids to have their genitals mutilated. You know, that's not a transitionary situation there.
No.
And that's what he is. He's become just sad. It's just sad. And now he's it is gross. And and he gets paid $500 million. That's what his contract is.
Yeah.
He's not going to be back.
No,
he's gone.
No,
of course, $500 million. And then he finds out on a Google alert. That's hilarious. The guy had a Google alert for himself. Imagine you having a Google alert for yourself and you get the firing notification on a Google alert. That's just pathetic.
Yeah.
He's pathetic.
He was a shock jock, and he was trying to push the envelope in a time where people were less offended. So, back in the early 80s or late 80s, early 90s, people weren't offended so easily. So he was pushing the envelope. He would have, like you said, he would humiliate people. He would have people on and have fart contests and like just crazy things, objectifying and humiliating women, for their looks and things like that. And he's not that guy anymore. Obviously, he couldn't be in this climate. You know what I mean? Because now people are offended at the drop of a dime.
Yeah.
But no one went back and canceled Howard Stern because he got that boatload of cash, that $500 million, and he became somebody completely different. And it's something we've talked about before, John. So many people that we looked at as cool in our past, you know, and growing up have become part of the machine, right? Like Rage Against the Machine, they became part of the machine.
Yep.
Howard Stern became part of the machine. So many of these things just became part of the establishment and, went
It
over
just
to the
shows you
left.
what a bunch of frauds. What a bunch of frauds and I guess the biggest reason that they became frauds though is because you become so comfortable in that lifestyle and your life is a lie, right? And you're told that, oh, I thought everybody loved this. That Rage Against the Machine, literally, I think that they played a concert for the pharmaceutical company. I mean, it's crazy. These guys, they're just a bunch of entertainers. This is why all these entertainers they're a bunch of little silly actors. I mean, this is what do you think Brandon Arrington would be any different if he had gotten anywhere real in his life? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, he'd be the same.
For Howard Stern, it was like, nobody's ever liked me, and now people finally like me. Everybody's accepting me, he deserves to be off in retirement. It's time for him to be done. Go live in your house in the Hamptons. And he has a house down here in West Palm Beach, John. And I actually saw a video where a guy saw him on a bike trail and called him a Jew-hating Nazi. And he was walking on a path with his wife, who is much younger than him, by the way. And, accosted him. So, yes, Howard Stern, despite his liberal leanings, loves to be in the free state of Florida and not the Hamptons and New York City, where he originated from. So, all right, John, let's move on from Mr. Stern, and hopefully we're moving on from him forever. The NFL, John, just when you think it couldn't get any worse for the NFL, now they have male head cheerleaders. All right, that's about enough of that.
What the hell?
I couldn't take any more
thought
of
this
that.
was a good idea. What idiot at the NFL thought this was a good idea? I mean, this is ridiculous. Talk about going Bud Light. You know what? Here's the thing. I wait for a long time. Listen, since I was born in San Francisco, right? I was the biggest 49ers fan. I used to clip newspaper things about their games and put them on my walls when I was in high school. Okay, I would have like a whole wall of like, this is what's going on. I used to follow their stats. I was like fantasy football guy before fantasy football even started. You know, that's how I was tracking them. And it's just the minute they started with the BS and they started kneeling and all that shit, I was like, I'm out. I'm not going to watch it again. I'll never watch anybody who's going to disrespect my country. I'm not going to participate. I'm not going to help them. I don't want anything to do with anybody that's going to disrespect my country. And I stopped watching the NFL. I don't even know how long that was. I stopped watching the NFL. Then I have a bunch of Army buddies that started a fantasy football league. So I would only keep up so that I could play this fantasy football league with my friends, Army friends.
No.
But I had to abandon that because I don't even want to watch for that. I don't want to watch. I don't want anything to do with the NFL. The NFL is just a gay WNBA, in my opinion. It's garbage. It's the same. Now they're trying to do this, insert this into your face. Why? Here's the thing. If it was going to make money, right? If it was going to make money, I'd be like, okay, fine. This is revenue, right? It's a business. They're going to generate revenue, right? But this is not. Nobody wants to see this. Nobody wants to see it. Nobody who watches the NFL wants to see it. It does not move the needle 1 decimal point in terms of viewership. Men are not going to want to see it. I'm talking about real men. They're not going to want to see it. They're not going to want to see silliness. And it's not just about a gay thing or anything like that. Men don't want to see men dancing. All right. What man watches other men dance? It's not going to happen. It's just not what we want to see. We're there to watch a football game, and you're distracting. You already had to insert that skinny trailer park hoe, what's her name, into every football game. Every football conversation has to involve the skinny trailer park hoe. What's her name? I can't. Taylor Swift, right?
Yeah.
Now these cheerleaders. I mean, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. Even the real cheerleaders are not that much of a big part. So why? And guys, if there was no cheerleaders, guys would still watch the game. So who is this for? It's not like it's for the women. Women don't care to see gay guys dancing, right?
No.
So who is it for? What are they doing? It's basically a public statement of we're still woke.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Absolutely.
And the NFL should be buried for it. They should be buried. I hope they lose money for it. I hope that they go down in viewership. I hope the people that host the television stations that host their games go down for it. I hope they pay for it. Because whenever you try to let the American people that your philosophies, which are counterproductive to the American family, are more important than the American family, you need to pay for it big time.
No.
That's the only way we're going to end this BS.
You know, some people will say that we see male cheerleaders in college. We see male cheerleaders in high school.
Yeah.
But they have never been the head cheerleader. They've always been in the background assisting the cheerleaders with, like, propping them up in the air and stuff like
but
that.
Here's the thing. The difference, listen, here's the difference between those cheerleaders and these cheerleaders. The cheerleaders that the NFL is displaying are not any different from the women cheerleaders. They're a bunch of fairies, right? Acting like fairies, like this guy. The male cheerleaders are normally like buff guys, big guys that are throwing the ladies in the air and stuff, right? They're gymnasts and athletes. And I'm not saying that dancers are not athletes, but I'm saying that this is not part of the game.
This is
not part of the boy spirit. This is just gay guys. I mean, I don't know that they're gay or not, but that guy, chances are that guy was gay, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, let's be real. Chances are that guy's gay, and not all gay guys are like this. And it's like I said, it's not about his homosexuality that bothers me. I don't give a damn. It's none of my business, and I don't give a damn. And I don't have anything bad to say about the whatever. What I'm saying is that this is not about the game, and we don't want to see who is this for. If there was money to be made, let's say that 90% of viewership of NFL games were homosexuals that wanted to see dancing, no problem with it. Okay, this is a business, that's their market, no problem, right? But I used to be the typical football guy, and that's not what I was watching the game for. So why are you forcing that down my throat? I don't like it. It's just like Bud Light.
This is the thing, John. If they were quiet about it and didn't say anything about it and didn't promote it, we probably wouldn't even be talking about it. But they promoted it. The NFL promoted the fact that they have now male head cheerleaders.
That's exactly right.
And this is why we're talking about it.
100%
They
right.
put that up on TikTok and Instagram, these men dancing like women. And yeah, it's just it's unbelievable. But this is the modern day NFL, John. This is it.
Exactly.
All right. So I don't know, John. This is crazy. I didn't have this on my bingo card. I know you didn't either, but there are zombie rabbits now, and they're also called Frankenstein rabbits, that are appearing in the northern areas. I think it's Colorado. Let's watch this.
Residents in Fort Collins, Colorado have spotted rabbits with bizarre horn-like growths, earning them nicknames like Frankenstein bunnies and zombie rabbits. Experts say the rabbits are infected with Shope papillomavirus, a common, mostly harmless virus that causes wart-like growths. The virus is believed to have inspired the centuries-old jackalope legend and even helped scientists understand links between viruses and cancer. Wildlife officials stress the virus can't infect humans or pets, and most rabbits recover once their immune systems fight it off.
Okay, so I've seen reports now about these things, and they're telling people do not try to touch them, don't try and come near them. And they're saying in this report that it can't infect humans. But we've heard of viruses before that have gone from animal to human, right? Like bird flu and other things like that. They've talked about this.
Bats in China.
Yep. Yeah, that's what they
Bats in
blame
China
COVID,
cause
right?
worldwide epidemics.
Yeah, they blame COVID, and now they're talking about the zombie rabbits. They're saying that it can't infect a human, but don't touch them. And the weirdest thing about this, John, to me is, and maybe I'm just ignorant, I just don't know, but in the 50 years that I have been on the planet Earth, I have never, ever seen something like this. Have you?
Never. I've never heard of it. I've never seen a rabbit, or I've never heard of it. It's been completely so. It is a strange story that it comes up. I mean, maybe media is so far reaching now, but this is a story, right? We see them popping up. I read about this story before you selected it for the show, and it was just a strange thing. And I didn't know if it was real or not. And the pictures that I saw, it's not like the pictures are so great. These pictures are much better than the ones that I saw.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's disturbing that, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it happens. I don't know.
You know, when I first saw this, I thought that it was fake too. I was just like, this is AI, you know. But then I saw actual videos, and you know, they had news reports out of Colorado where they were, you know, talking with people that saw these things, and you know, they actually got one on camera. They showed it, and I'm just like, this is insane. But you hear about all the things that they're experimenting with and all the things they're doing out there. I think about the fact that in the 50 years I've been on the planet Earth, I've never heard or seen anything like this. And it just blows my mind. And it wouldn't surprise me if they were experimenting on these rabbits. I don't know.
Well, here's the funny thing. I have had at least conversations about the jackalope, right? I've had conversations about that stupid rabbit with the antler horns. But this has never come up. The history of where it might have come from, this, you know, wart virus on rabbits, that conversation it's never come up in response to a conversation about that rabbit with the antelope ears.
Yeah, why? So that's a good question, John. Why hasn't a scientist said that before when discussing the jackalope, that it
everybody
could be
just said it's fake,
yeah.
Right? Oh no, it's a myth. It's a myth. It's never. Those two things have never. Oh, it actually happens. It comes from when the rabbit has this virus, right? That's the origin of the story. So I've had multiple conversations when I was a kid. I remember being a kid and wondering if that jackalope was real or not. Right? Is that real? Is that a real animal? Does that happen? Right? Because I saw the stuffed animals and whatever. And I remember specifically the conversations of, no, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake. So multiple times I've heard the conversation. I've been part of it. People have mentioned it. Never once did we ever talk about it has a story based in fact on this rabbit virus.
Yeah.
So that is strange. In my opinion, that's strange. So who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if these rabbits came from China, though, from Wuhan, China.
Whatever you do, don't touch them. You know, don't touch them. You know, because you never know. All right, John, let's end this show on a positive note. The White House will be hosting on our nation's birthday in 2026 a UFC fight on the South Lawn. How cool is that?
It's a really big deal. And speaking of big deals and destination watches, there is talk of a July 4th fight. America's 250th birthday next summer.
Where at?
At the White House.
Okay.
It's a pretty big venue. Is that going to happen, Dana? What can you tell us?
It is definitely going to happen. I talked to him last night, him being the president, and I'm flying out there at the end of this month, and I'm going to sit down and walk him through, you know, all the plans and the renderings, and we're going to start deciding what he wants and doesn't want. But yeah, it's definitely going to happen. Well, think about this. When you were just asking me, you know, at the beginning how I felt about, you know, where we are today, July 4th, 250th birthday of the United States of America. live on CBS from the White House.
Well,
so,
listen,
yeah,
I like the
pretty
live on
excited.
CBS. Anytime you can say that. But word on the street was that Ivanka Trump was involved in this. Is that true? In the fight
Yeah.
on
So
the White House?
when he called me and asked me to do it, he said I want Ivanka in the middle of this. So Ivanka reached out to me, and her and I started talking about the possibilities, where it would be. And, you know, I put together all the renderings. I'm flying out there at the end of the month and going to sit down with those two and start figuring it out.
Wow.
Do we know who's fighting?
No, it's still almost a year away, and, you know, the landscape will change.
I know Nate and I are going to be
over the
training
next
ahead of
several
time.
months. So it's,
Yeah.
Okay.
Working it out.
We'll be ready. We'll be ready for you.
Congrats. I love the deal
it
making
makes sense.
is already in the way.
Everybody wants to be on this card.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Dana White, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Very cool. You know, the president loves the UFC, and great news if you love the UFC. Pay-per-view is dead. There will no longer be any pay-per-views for UFC. UFC is moving to the Paramount Plus app. You pay, I think it's $10 or $12 a month, and you will be able to watch all the UFC fights, all the former pay-per-views for free as part of your subscription to Paramount Plus. It's a really great deal, John. This is going to open up doors to the UFC to many more people. And the UFC, honestly, is a sport that you can watch. And I feel if you feel that you can't trust the sport that you watch currently, you know, that it's not fixed or rigged or I think with the UFC, it's less likely. And if it is, it's very minimal because it's totally unpredictable, a fight like that.
Yeah. Well, most fights, when they are rigged, it's rigged by the ref, right? By the, it's not rigged necessarily by the fighters. Although, I mean, look at that guy. Who's that moron? I can't stand him. Jake Paul is what I'm thinking of. I hate that guy with a passion. He does nothing but destroy people's careers by fighting them, paying them off, right? Obviously, like he fought with Mike Tyson, and he paid Mike Tyson to lose that fight. Mike Tyson would have beat the crap out of him. Mike, even as an old man, one punch would have dropped him, and you could tell he was holding back. I watched Mike. We're at the age, right? We watched Mike Tyson was the guy when we were growing up, and it's two leagues, you know. That's fake. Football, people are saying that football is now fake, and they're picking the winners and losers of football games. You see, now coming in, it went infancy, Ultimate Fighting,
And
got
it was
to
just
like
all, and they were just fighting each other really
crazy, and then it got into like a legitimate sport when it was like GSP, BJ Penn, a whole bunch of other guys that were just awesome to watch fight, and they would fight multiple
Tito
times.
Ortiz.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. They were at the even that was even earlier, and these guys was like watching world-class fighters, multi-discipline fighters go at it. It was a lot of fun. Now it is like fully sport, you know, encapsulated, and I enjoy watching them. I don't pay for pay-per-view. I'd rather just watch it later, but and I don't, you know, rarely do I have the time to watch it, but I used to watch it all the time with my kids. When my son, my older son, lived at home, we would watch it. When my nephews were at home, it was worth paying for it, so that I could hang out with the boys. But anyway, I look forward to this. I think this is a great idea. You're right. It's going to expose them to a lot more people. It's a lot cheaper. People already paying for Paramount Plus. Now you get to watch the fights. It's a great move that they took. And I love the fact that they're doing it on the White House grounds. It's fun to see that they are taking part in this and that's happening, and that everybody's celebrating that July 4th, 250 years old, the United States. What a celebration. I'm hoping, Trump said it's going to be a whole year celebrating. I haven't heard that much about it, so I hope that they're going to do a whole year of parading, feeling good about the America that we live in and love. That's going to be great. So looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And yeah, I never bought pay-per-views either. I they don't always play the fights back. They'll have like these TV shows that'll come on with the fights, and they'll have like specific fights and replay them and stuff. So you can watch it on YouTube, specific fights, stuff like that, with it being on Paramount Plus, options of Paramount Plus. So like, it's a no-brainer. All right, so that's all we have time for today, John.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. We love you. Please like and share the show. That helps us on a Saturday evening. Feel free to comment, talk about it, reach out to us on any of our handles. But God bless you, and we'll see. We're looking forward to that July 4th. I know I am. I'm going to celebrate like crazy for a whole year, the birthday. I think I'm going to wear red, white, and blue every single day for the whole year. At least I'm going to try. We'll see. So God bless you. Thank you. Keep watching, follow, and get those notifications. So make sure that you're following or liking whatever it is platform that you're watching on. Thanks. God bless.
Well, I mean, I was entertained, to be honest.
I think it is rich beyond measure. The fact that a school board member that has tens of millions of dollars of conflict of interest before this board has the courage to come up here and talk about anyone's behavior. If anyone should be ashamed of themselves, sir, it should be you.
And I'm in favor of you being able to speak your mind, no matter what. That's how we get. That's. Remember when we were kids, right? And you had a problem with somebody, and then your dad would kick you out to go fight with that kid, and then you shake hands, and then you go home, and then you become friends. Disgust when they're trying to, take this word and give it meaning that it doesn't have. Like our entire country needs to go through a fasting. You see all of these new age hippies, right? They're constantly fasting. They're doing starvation diets, or they won't eat for this. What is it called? Like some kind of intermittent fasting.
It's not just us, and not just fans of President Trump, MAGA Republicans. We're not the only ones